What I want to talk to you about today for this brief little session is how to break through a crisis. Crises happen, whatever type of crises you go through in your life, and I know you've had many. Where do we get addicted to our problems? If you want to make a new choice, if you want to make a new decision today, if you want to have a breakthrough in some area of your life, you got to give up the story that it's not your fault, and you got to give up the attention and the love and the connection and the commiserating that comes with it with other human beings. Here's how you change. Get a vision first. Get a vision and get strong. That's what I think your third step should be. You first tell yourself the truth. Yes, see it as it is, not worse than it is. Tell yourself the truth and deal with it. But the way to deal with it is say, what am I going to go for? There's got to be a compelling future. I've got to come up with a vision for my life or a vision for my relationship. I've had terrible relationships, nothing's worked. Tell yourself the truth. I've made poor choices, or I told myself stories and gave myself excuses, or I've not had the courage, whatever it is. Get to the truth. And then get yourself a vision for what you do want. Because you have to have something you're going to move towards. Does that make sense? Without a vision, people perish. It says in a very good book called The Good Book. And I know there are many good books, but that's a good one to take a look at. We need something to go for. We can deal with any problem today as long as there's something that we can look for in the future that we can strive for. It'll give us the emotional and psychological fuel, the juice. Keep moving forward. So you got to come up with a vision, get a role model. You might get the vision from a role model, you might get the vision just from coming up with a new idea. But in order to figure out how to go from where you are to where you want to be, to close the gap from where you are to where you want to be, it's best to learn by other people's experience whenever you can. So get a role model, get their strategy, and go to work. Get into action. Look, if you're in a situation where you see it as is, but not worse than it is, if you've told yourself the truth and you dealt the cards you're dealt with and just decided you're going to change it and you're willing to do what's necessary, if you put yourself in a place where you got a new vision and you gotten yourself strong, if you got a role model and you got some strategy and you got yourself into action, give much more than you expect to receive. Simple as that sounds, if you find a way to meet people's needs in business, in an intimate relationship, meeting your kids' needs, anybody's needs, the whole game changes. What happened here when all of a sudden, Melissa finds herself coming home and all of a sudden she finds out that while she's gone, her kids now don't want to talk to her boys. Her husband has had an affair. Well, none of that could change if she would have just said, you know what? My whole life is over. I'm done. And oh, by the way, I've just lost my career too because while I'm busy trying to deal with my family, I didn't finish the record, so I lose my record deal. And oh, by the way, we don't have any financial stability. Now we're losing our house. If that family would have just said it's over, if Melissa or Rick either just said it's over, it would have been over. But they told themselves the truth. We got severe problems here, but they didn't make it worse than it was. They didn't say we can't turn it around. And then they got to the truth of the infidelity, the truth of her addiction to going after fame instead of being a mom, the truth that neither one of them had been really competent at parents and had not given the energy to the kids that they deserved. The truth will set you free, but first it'll piss you off. It doesn't feel good, but not feeling good is sometimes where you get your drive to change things. They started looking around and said, we don't have the skill to even manage our house, much less our finances. We got to do something different. We got to focus on our kids. We got to focus on turning things around. We got to turn our relationship around. But that wouldn't have worked unless they got a vision of starting to see, it could happen. And that's what I help them with. I help them get to the truth. I helped them to stop over-exaggerating. I got them to a place where they got to see that this relationship could be back alive and passionate and that these kids deserve both their parents and that she really could be a great mom and that maybe in the end she could even still have her singing career and enjoy it too. That she didn't have to give it all up. And I'm really proud of her. She did it because she found a role model. She got a vision, but she got a full role model. And the man that she works with today is a man that's sold, I think now 5 million or 10 million records. And most people outside the country business don't know his name. He's her mentor now. He's made music with, Willie Nelson, with just about anybody you can imagine in the business. And he's done it for all these years, but he's never left the central part of Texas because that's where his family is. And Melissa's had offers to go to Sony Red. She walked away because they said, you're gonna have to do these things without your family. She found out what was most important, and she made the decisions that met her needs to be a great mom. When you fight life and go, I should be a singer and not a mom, when you got 5 kids, you got a problem. When you fight life and say, the economy should be different, you're gonna be stressed. Deal with what is, with Out exaggeration with total honesty, dealing with the cards, coming up with a vision, finding yourself a role model that shows your strategy, work your tail off, give, keep changing your approach, and you can get where you want to go. Make sense? Now that might sound like a lot. So to get you started, here's what I'd like you to do for this session. Start out if you want by taking a big crisis or problem you have and going through these steps, saying, okay, what's really true? And let me exaggerate, let me stop the exaggeration. Let me not make it worse than it is. Just let's define what's true. Let's stop the story. Just here's what it is. We got this much financial challenge. We got this physical challenge, whatever it is. And then go to step 2. All right, let's find out the truth. Let's get the details. Let's get the details and figure out what we're going to do. And then here's where we're going to go. This is where we're going to eventually get to. It might take us longer to get where we want to go, but we're going to get here. Who's done it that we can model, that we can follow the steps in, who can coach us? And let's just work our tail off and change every day. But to give you a quick jump, sometimes when you're in the middle of crisis or crises, multiple crises, lots of things going on simultaneously, it feels a bit overwhelming. So, and you might not know a role model. You might say, Tony, I don't know who. Well, not hard on the internet these days to find role models, or come to an event. I can promise you we can show you plenty of role models. This is what I do for a living. But what you can do right away is you can model yourself. Think about it. Almost everyone alive has been through more than one tough time, crisis or multi-crises, where you're having a problem financially and you're having a problem with your family and you're having a health problem all simultaneously. Those are the intense ones, right? But if you're standing still today, most of us have found a way to get through it. And if you don't, you know someone who went through a tough time, a grandmother, an aunt, an uncle, somebody. The greatest way to make that change happen when you break out of a, break through, you break out of a problem, you break out of a crisis, is model yourself. So we have 5 questions when you click on this link. And you can do it by video so you can see yourself and you can share it with other people, or you can type in the answer. I'll tell you in advance what they are, and then when I'm done here, I want you to do it right away if you would. First question is, what's been one of the toughest times in your life? What's been one of the toughest times in your life that you did get through? Maybe it was a financial situation. Maybe it was a career situation. Again, maybe it was an intimate relationship where you were crushed. You thought you could never make it through all the pain you went through there. Maybe it was a physical challenge or health challenge. Maybe it was a lack of confidence or ability. I don't know what it was, but what was it? Just incredibly tough time that you did make it through, and you're just going to jot it down. Or you can do it in the video and just tell us, because you're not only going to get this answer, but we're going to create a community of people who will be role models, people that have been through hell and back, saying, here's where I was, here's what I got through, here's what shifted my life, here's what you can do. And we're creating this community as our gift to you, so that this isn't just a discussion that's one way. I want to do is start a conversation with you where we can help each other. So that first question is, what's a crisis? What's a challenge? What's a tough situation you eventually made through, but it really was difficult for you? Second question. You go back and you think about that situation. What pulled you through? What pulled you through that situation? What did you learn? What distinction? Or did you get a strategy? Or was it a belief? Or did you meet someone who helped you? Or was it just somehow you clicked into your faith and you kicked yourself into gear? What pulled you through those tough times? Was it a person? Was it a place? Was it an idea? Was it a distinction? Was it a belief? What was it? Share it with us. Type it down or tell us from your heart what it really was. Third question is just real quick. It's just for contrast. And the third question is, what was your life like before the crisis? Like right before all hell broke loose? Usually you'll say, oh, my life was so great. But when you go back and look at it, was it so great? Was it wonderful? Just out of curiosity, right before all hell broke loose. Third question is, what was your life like right before? And then the fourth question, what'd you do? What did you do to go from where you were to where you are today? What did you do to get over that situation? What did you do to get through that situation? What did you do to turn it around? What action did you take? Who did you go learn from? What skill did you go get? What did you physically do? Kind of give us the description of what you did, because we all want to know, because you can provide us a pathway. You may have been through a crisis that someone else is going through right now, and they can learn from you. They can learn the shortcut. And finally, the fifth question, maybe the most important one besides what pulled you through, and the fifth one is, how is your life actually better today because you went through this crisis? Whatever the crisis was. How are you stronger? Or are you more compassionate because you felt that suffering, you don't want anybody else to feel it? Or are you more hopeful because you know you made it through that so you can make it through other things? Or are you in a situation where you've got a skill today that you didn't have and wouldn't have had if it wasn't for that situation that made you have to grow? Or are you just happier today because you have a contrast of what life could be like, and so now you appreciate the simple moments? How are you better mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, or spiritually today because you went through the crisis? Even though you wouldn't want to go through it again, you don't want anybody else to go through it, how did it actually serve you in the end? I think if you answer these 5 questions, you don't need to remember them. I said them to kind of trigger you thinking. All you do is type in the answer, or you take the instructions and click on the video and go, okay, toughest time of my life. There have been so many, but I'd say when I went through this divorce, or I'd say when I was told I had this tumor, or I'd say when they told me this company was going to go bankrupt, or whatever it was. Second question, what pulled me through? God, I don't know, I guess a combination of things. One was this belief that somehow everything in life happens for a reason and a purpose. And even though I hate this, something must be calling me to grow. Or I'll tell you what it was. It was a friend that sat me down and said, man, you're going through hell. But when you're in the middle of hell, when you're pushing through hell, just keep pushing. Just keep going through it, man. I've been there. And he gave me this plan, or he gave me this strategy, or he told me, this problem won't last forever. Trust me, I know it feels like it's the end of the world, but 10 years from now, you and I will be sitting here, and you'll be here with your children, and you'll be here with your wife, and we'll be talking about those tough days, and we'll actually smile and laugh about them and be so proud we made it through it together. Okay? I don't know how long the session was. Again, there's no script here, baby. I just want to work with you heart to heart to say one thing. If you want to break through, you have to make new decisions. New choices create a new life. The only thing stopping you is some limiting belief, some belief about how life should be different, or you should be different. Deal with life the way it is. Tell yourself the absolute truth. Don't make it worse than it is. Tell yourself the truth. Deal with it. Get a vision. Get strong. Get a strategy. Get a role model with a strategy and get into action, and then put your focus on taking action every day. Giving. Change your approach. You will get there.